Hello guys, how are you today? So today we're gonna start with a new lesson, which is a new chapter actually, which is the respiratory system. First of all, what is the respiratory system? The respiratory system is the system that is responsible for our body to take in the oxygen gas and exhale the carbon dioxide gas. Now, what are the organs of the respiratory system? Let's see. First, we have the mouth and the nasal cavity. Okay, so as you can see here, we have the mouth and the nasal cavity. Okay, mouth and nasal cavity. And then we have the pharynx, the larynx, the trachea. This is the trachea. Okay, and the trachea is divided into two bronchi. Okay, the bronchus, the main bronchus, this is the main bronchus, and this bronchus is divided more and more to form these small bronchi, and at the end of each bronchus we have an alveolar sac. Okay, the alveolar sac is richly vascularized and made up of tiny air sacs called alveoli. Okay, now so what are the organs of the respiratory system? These are the nasal cavity and the mouth, the pharynx, the larynx, the trachea, the bronchi, which is the singular of bronchi is the bronchus, the bronchioles, and the alveoli. And of course, we have the lungs and the diaphragm. These are the main two parts which are here. You can see in this slide. So this is the lung, okay, and this is the diaphragm, which is a muscle that helps in respiration. Okay, now now pay attention. There is a difference between the organs of the respiratory system and the respiratory tract. Okay, يعني respiratory tract يعني وين بيمرق الهواء. Okay, so the respiratory tract will pass in the nasal cavity, then to the pharynx, to the larynx, to the trachea, to the bronchus, to the bronchioles, and to the alveolar sac. So as you can see, guys, the air doesn't pass through the lungs. So it doesn't fill the lungs itself. It will pass in these tubes, okay? In these tubes. So it will pass nasal cavity, then trachea, then into the bronchus, and then it will fill these small bronchioles, and then it will reach the end, which is the alveolar sacs. Okay, now how respiration occurs? Look, respiration, of course, you know that it is divided into the inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation is the entrance of the air, which is rich in oxygen, into our body, and at the level of the respiratory system, at the level of the alveoli, in fact, the exchange of the gas gonna occur, okay, and then it will be followed by the exhalation, which is that getting rid of the air which is rich in carbon dioxide. So we know this, okay? So in this chapter, we're gonna first explain how the movement occurs in the inhalation and exhalation. يعني شو بصير at the level of the lungs and at the level of the diaphragm. And also we will explain the gaseous exchange, how it will occur at the level of the alveoli, and how the oxygen can pass to the blood, and how the carbon dioxide can pass from the blood to the alveoli. Now, let's look to this simulation. As you can see here, okay, we will see the movements during inhalation and exhalation. Let's see. So,
during inspiration, the diaphragm contracts and increases the volume or area of the thoracic cavity.
So let's see here. So during inhalation, what happens? Look, the diaphragm first contracts. As you can see, this is the diaphragm. It's gonna contract. The thoracic cage or the rib cage, which are the ribs. Okay, the rib cage. It is the bones that cover our lungs, that protect our lungs. So the thoracic cage, as you can see, it will enlarge. The chest volume will increase and the air will enter the lungs, okay?
Increase in volume results in a decrease in pressure in the lungs, which causes air to rush from the atmosphere
So this increase gonna cause what? Gonna cause the decrease in the pressure at the level of the lungs, and so the air will enter to our lungs. So look, it won't enter, it won't fill this area here in the lungs. No, it's gonna enter through this pathway and it will fill all the alveoli here present here. Okay?
A higher pressure into the lungs, a lower pressure. During expiration, the diaphragm returns to a relaxed upward position, reducing the volume or area in the thoracic.
So as you can see here, during exhalation, what happens? The diaphragm will relax. As you can see, it will go upwards and the thoracic cage will diminish and the chest volume will decrease, and the air this will increase the pressure in the lungs so the air can go outside the lungs. Now, so during inhalation, the diaphragm contracts, the thoracic cage enlarges, the chest volume increases, and air enters the lungs. And during exhalation, the diaphragm relaxes, the thoracic cage diminishes, chest volume decreases, and air leaves the lungs. Okay? Now, how the exchange of the gas occurs? So how is this air, the entering air, it will fill what? It will fill this alveolar sac. Okay, as you can see, it will fill this alveolar sac. Now, how can the exchange of gas occurs? Due to the presence of these lot of blood capillaries, which are a very thin, tiny blood vessels, okay? And with which the gaseous exchange will occur, okay? Now, what are the characteristics that support the gas exchange at the level of the lungs? First, we have a big number of alveoli. As you can see, a lot of alveoli. We have 700 million alveoli in our lungs. The alveoli have a very thin wall. It is very thin, okay, which is a 1/1000 millimeter, okay? So it is very, very thin wall, and it is highly vascularized. So we have presence of many blood vessels, as you can see in this document, okay? And this will increase the surface area of exchange between the blood and the air in the alveoli. Okay, so many alveoli and many blood vessels, this will increase the surface area of exchange between the alveoli and the blood. And also the alveoli is richly vascularized, and also it has a very thin wall. هيدا بذكرنا also بالcharacteristics لما كنا عم نقول عن الvilli. Also it has similar characteristics. It has thin wall and it is richly vascularized. This the thing that favors the absorption or the gas exchange. Okay. Now, the gas exchange in the lungs, how it will happen? Let's compare. Let's compare between the inhaled air and the exhaled air. Okay, let's see. So we measured the amount of gases or the quantity of gases in the inhaled air and the exhaled air. Let's compare the volume of the gases in the inhaled air and in the exhaled air. As you can see, the volume of nitrogen in the inhaled air is 79 centimeter cube, which is equal to the volume of the nitrogen in the exhaled air. So this shows what? This shows that is there an exchange? No, there is no exchange. Okay, so what is the significance here? That there is no exchange of nitrogen gas at the level of respiration. As you can see, the amount or the volume stays the same. It is equal in the inhaled air and in the exhaled air. So there is no exchange. Now, let's go to the oxygen. In the inhaled air, it is 21 centimeter cube. And in the exhaled air, it becomes 17 centimeter cube. So the volume of oxygen in the inhaled air is greater than that in the exhaled air, which is 17 centimeter cube. So what is the significance from this? That there is what? There is absorption of oxygen, okay? There is absorption Absorption of what? Absorption of oxygen. So oxygen is being used, okay, or being absorbed from the inhaled air, okay? Now let's look at the carbon dioxide. At the level of the carbon dioxide, the volume of carbon dioxide in the inhaled air is 0.03 centimeter cube, as you can see here, okay? It is less than the volume in the exhaled air, which is 4 centimeter cube. So what happens here? What do we have here? We have what? Exhalation of what? Exhalation or releasing of carbon dioxide. So we have releasing of carbon dioxide to the inhaled air. Yes? So we have releasing of carbon dioxide to the exhaled air. Okay, so this table shows us that at the level of the lungs, there occur absorption of oxygen and releasing of carbon dioxide. So the respiratory system ensures the entrance of oxygen gas from the atmosphere to be distributed to cells. It also ensures the exit of carbon dioxide gas released by cell oxidation. This gaseous exchange occurs where? Occurs at the level of what? At the level of the alveoli. As you can see, each bronchus, this is the bronchus, is ends up by this alveolar sac. All of this, it is the alveolar sac. This alveolar sac, as you can see, it is richly vascularized and it is made up of tiny air sacs called alveoli. Okay, so respiration is what? It is the inhalation of air rich in oxygen into our body via the respiratory system, so that the respiratory gas exchange occurs between air and blood, followed by exhalation of gas enriched with carbon dioxide. We're gonna stop here and we will continue the rest in the class. See you guys.